Little Maya loved to dance more than anything in the world. Even before she could walk, she would bounce in her mother's arms whenever music played. Her tiny hands would clap along, and her face would light up with joy. Her older brother, Leo, would spin her around, and she would giggle, her eyes sparkling. It was clear to everyone that Maya had a special connection to rhythm and movement. One sunny afternoon, when Maya was 4 years old, her parents took her to a specialist. They had noticed she wasn't always responding to their voices, and loud noises didn't seem to startle her like other children. The doctor performed several tests, using strange machines and making different sounds. Maya tried her best to cooperate, but she grew restless and wanted to dance. After what seemed like a very long time, the doctor sat down with Maya's parents. He spoke in a serious voice, explaining that Maya had profound sensory neural hearing loss. This meant that the tiny hairs in her inner ear that helped her hear were damaged, and she couldn't hear sounds very well, if at all. He said it was likely she had been born with this condition. Maya's mom started to cry softly. Her dad put his arm around her. Maya didn't understand everything the doctor said, but she saw the worried look on her parents' faces. She climbed onto her dad's lap and hugged him tight. "Does this mean I can't hear music anymore?" she asked, her voice small. The doctor looked at her with sympathy. "It means it will be very difficult for you to hear music in the way other people do, Maya. But it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it in other ways." Her parents were determined to find ways for Maya to still experience the world of music and dance. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were ready to face the challenge together. They loved Maya more than anything, and they wanted her to be happy. The doctor suggested some options: hearing aids, special schools, and speech therapy. Maya's parents listened carefully, writing down notes and asking questions. They were determined to do everything they could to help their little girl. Even if the world sounded different to Maya, they would make sure it was still filled with music and joy. They knew that with love and support, Maya could overcome any obstacle. The weeks that followed Maya's diagnosis were filled with appointments. They tried hearing aids, but they amplified all sounds, making it difficult for Maya to focus on any one thing. It was like a jumble of noise, overwhelming and frustrating. Speech therapy was also challenging. Maya could see how her mouth formed words, but matching those movements to the sounds was incredibly hard. Some doctors were discouraging. "She'll never be able to dance professionally," one stern-faced doctor said bluntly. "It's just not realistic with her level of hearing loss. She should focus on other activities." These words stung. Maya's heart sank. She loved to dance more than anything. The thought of giving it up was unbearable. She started to withdraw, spending more time alone in her room. She stopped asking her brother to spin her around, and she no longer bounced in her mother's arms when music played on the radio. Her parents, however, refused to give up hope. They saw the spark in Maya's eyes when she moved to music, even if she couldn't hear it the same way. They researched different approaches, looking for anything that might help her continue to pursue her passion. They enrolled her in a special school for children with hearing impairments, hoping she would find a community and learn new ways to communicate. But even at the special school, some kids told her she was dreaming. "You can't be a dancer if you can't hear the music," one boy said cruelly. "It's impossible." Maya tried to ignore them, but their words echoed in her mind. Was it impossible? Was she wasting her time? Doubt crept in, and she started to question her abilities. Maybe everyone was right. Maybe she should just give up and find something else to do. One evening, Maya sat on the floor of her room, feeling lost and defeated. She put on some music, even though she could barely hear it. She closed her eyes and tried to feel the vibrations. A faint rumble passed through the floor. She placed her hands flat on the wooden surface. The vibrations were stronger now, a faint pulse that resonated through her body. An idea began to form in her mind. Maybe she couldn't hear the music, but maybe she could feel it. Maybe she could learn to dance by feeling the vibrations. It was a long shot, but it was worth a try. The next morning, Maya woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. She rushed downstairs to the living room, where her dad was already awake, reading the newspaper. "Dad," she said excitedly, "can we try something?" Her dad looked up, surprised by her enthusiasm. "Of course, sweetie. What is it?" Maya explained her idea about feeling the vibrations of the music. She asked him to play some of her favorite songs, really loud, so she could feel them through the floor. Her dad, always supportive, readily agreed. He turned up the volume on the stereo, and the room filled with a thumping bassline. Maya closed her eyes and placed her hands on the floor. She concentrated, trying to isolate the vibrations from the other sensations. At first, it was just a rumble, a vague feeling in her fingertips. But as she focused, she started to distinguish different patterns. The bass drum was a strong, steady pulse, while the higher notes created a lighter, more delicate vibration. She stood up and began to move, letting the vibrations guide her. She swayed her hips to the rhythm, lifted her arms in time with the melody, and spun around when she felt a change in the music. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. She was dancing again, not with her ears, but with her entire body. Her dad watched her, his eyes filled with tears of joy. He had never seen Maya so happy and focused since her diagnosis. He knew this was something special. "That's amazing, Maya," he exclaimed when the song ended. "You're really feeling the music." Encouraged by her initial success, Maya began to experiment with different surfaces. She discovered that she could feel the vibrations more clearly through the walls than through the floor. She would press her back against the wall, letting the sound waves resonate through her body. She learned to differentiate between different instruments and rhythms by the way they felt against her skin. She also started using balloons. She would hold a balloon against a speaker, and the vibrations would make the balloon bounce and tremble. By watching the balloon, she could visualize the music and translate it into movement. It was like learning a new language, a language of vibrations and sensations. Each day, Maya spent hours exploring this new world, determined to master the art of dancing without hearing. With each new discovery, her hope grew stronger. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was no longer alone in her fight. She had her family, her determination, and the power of vibrations to guide her. Maya's parents knew that she needed more than just their support, she needed professional guidance. They started searching for a dance teacher who would be willing to work with a student with hearing loss. Many teachers turned them down, saying it was too difficult or that they didn't have the experience. But Maya's parents refused to give up. Finally, they found Ms. Rodriguez, a kind and experienced dance teacher who ran a small studio in their town. Ms. Rodriguez had been teaching dance for over 20 years and had a reputation for being patient and understanding. When Maya's parents explained their situation, Ms. Rodriguez listened carefully, her eyes filled with compassion. "I've never worked with a student with hearing loss before," she admitted, "but I'm willing to try. I believe that everyone should have the opportunity to dance, regardless of their abilities." Maya was thrilled. She couldn't wait to start learning from Ms. Rodriguez. On their first meeting, Ms. Rodriguez explained that they would have to adapt her teaching methods. She would use visual cues, like hand gestures and facial expressions, to communicate instructions. She would also focus on helping Maya develop her muscle memory, so she could remember the steps without relying on the music. Ms. Rodriguez also had a special platform built in the studio. This platform was connected to the sound system, so it vibrated in time with the music. Maya could stand on the platform and feel the rhythm through her feet. The first few lessons were challenging. Maya struggled to understand the instructions and to coordinate her movements. She felt clumsy and awkward. But Ms. Rodriguez was patient and encouraging. She broke down the steps into smaller, more manageable pieces, and she praised Maya for her efforts, no matter how small. "You're doing great, Maya," Ms. Rodriguez would say. "Just keep practicing, and you'll get there." Slowly but surely, Maya began to improve. She started to understand the visual cues, and her muscle memory became stronger. She learned to anticipate the changes in the music by feeling the vibrations in the platform. She and Ms. Rodriguez developed a secret language of taps and gestures to communicate about the music. With Ms. Rodriguez's guidance and her own unwavering determination, Maya was finally on her way to realizing her dream. Maya's training with Ms. Rodriguez was unlike anything she had ever experienced. It was intense, demanding, and required unwavering focus. Every session began with a warm-up, where Maya would stretch and practice basic movements, feeling the vibrations of the music through the platform beneath her feet. Ms. Rodriguez would stand in front of her, demonstrating each step with exaggerated gestures, making sure Maya could clearly see the movements. The core of their training focused on building muscle memory. They would repeat each sequence of steps over and over again, until Maya's body knew the movements without her having to think about them. Ms. Rodriguez would tap Maya's shoulder to indicate changes in the music, and Maya would rely on these cues to transition from one step to another. Counting steps visually became crucial. Ms. Rodriguez would use her fingers to count out the beats, and Maya would follow along, memorizing the number of steps in each phrase. They used different colored ribbons to represent different sections of the music. Ms. Rodriguez would hold up a blue ribbon to signal the beginning of a slow, graceful movement, and a red ribbon to indicate a fast, energetic sequence. One of the biggest challenges was learning to differentiate between different rhythms. Ms. Rodriguez would play various types of music, from classical to hip-hop, and Maya would try to identify the underlying beat by feeling the vibrations. She would close her eyes and concentrate, focusing on the pulse of the music. Ms. Rodriguez would then quiz her, "Is this a waltz, Maya? Or a tango?" Sometimes Maya would get frustrated. She would stumble over the steps, misinterpret the visual cues, and feel like she was failing. But Ms. Rodriguez would always be there to encourage her. "Don't give up, Maya," she would say. "You're making progress every day. Just keep practicing, and you'll get there." To make things easier, Ms. Rodriguez created a visual notebook for Maya. It contained diagrams of different dance steps, color-coded representations of musical phrases, and notes about the vibrations associated with each rhythm. Maya would study this notebook at home, memorizing the information and practicing the steps in her bedroom. Slowly but surely, Maya's skills improved. Her movements became more fluid and graceful. Her muscle memory became stronger, and she was able to anticipate the changes in the music with greater accuracy. She and Ms. Rodriguez were becoming a team, working together to overcome the challenges of dancing without hearing. They were pushing the boundaries of what was possible, proving that with determination and creativity, anything was achievable. After months of rigorous training, Ms. Rodriguez felt that Maya was ready for her first real test, a local dance recital. It was a small, informal event, held at the community center, but it was a big step for Maya. She was nervous, but also excited to show everyone what she had been working on. Ms. Rodriguez carefully chose a piece of music that had a strong, clear beat and a simple melody. She choreographed a short routine that showcased Maya's strengths, focusing on graceful movements and expressive gestures. They practiced the routine countless times, until Maya could perform it perfectly, even in her sleep. The day of the recital arrived, and Maya felt a mix of anticipation and dread. She spent the morning going over the routine in her head, visualizing each step and feeling the vibrations of the music. Her parents and brother were there to support her, their faces beaming with pride. Backstage, Maya could feel the nervous energy in the air. Other dancers were stretching, rehearsing their steps, and chatting excitedly. Maya felt a little out of place. She couldn't hear what they were saying, and she worried that she wouldn't be able to keep up. When it was her turn to perform, Maya took a deep breath and walked onto the stage. The spotlight shone brightly in her eyes, and she could see the faces of the audience blurred in the darkness. Ms. Rodriguez gave her a reassuring nod from the sidelines. The music started, and Maya felt the vibrations through the floor. She closed her eyes for a moment, focusing on the pulse of the beat. Then, she began to dance. Her movements were fluid and graceful, her gestures expressive and captivating. She moved with confidence and passion, telling a story with her body. The audience was mesmerized. They watched in silence as Maya danced, feeling the emotion in her movements. There was one small stumble during the routine. Maya missed a cue and momentarily lost her balance. Her heart sank. She thought she had ruined everything. But she quickly recovered, regaining her composure and continuing with the dance. When the music ended, Maya stood still for a moment, her chest heaving. Then, the audience erupted in applause. The sound was deafening, but Maya didn't hear it. She felt it, a wave of positive energy washing over her. Ms. Rodriguez rushed onto the stage and hugged Maya tightly. "You were amazing," she exclaimed. "I'm so proud of you." Maya's parents and brother joined them on stage, showering her with hugs and kisses. It was a moment of pure joy and triumph. She hadn't performed perfectly, but she had proven to herself and to everyone else that she could dance, even without hearing. It was a small victory, but it gave her the confidence to keep pursuing her dream. Despite the success of the recital, the road ahead wasn't always smooth. There were times when Maya felt overwhelmed by the challenges she faced. The world of dance was built on sound, and she was trying to navigate it without one of her most important senses. Sometimes, she would feel isolated from the other dancers. They could chat about the music, the rhythm, and the lyrics of the songs they were dancing to. Maya couldn't participate in these conversations, and she felt like an outsider. Other times, she would get frustrated with her own limitations. She would struggle to learn new steps, misinterpret the visual cues, and feel like she was falling behind. The memory of the stumble during the recital would haunt her, making her question her abilities. The discouraging words from the doctors and other kids still echoed in her mind. "It's impossible," they had said. "You can't be a dancer if you can't hear the music." These doubts would creep into her thoughts, making her question whether she was truly cut out for this. Was she just fooling herself? Was she wasting her time trying to achieve something that was beyond her reach? One day, after a particularly difficult practice session, Maya broke down in tears. She told Ms. Rodriguez that she couldn't do it anymore. It was too hard, too frustrating, and too isolating. Ms. Rodriguez listened patiently, her eyes filled with understanding. She knew that Maya was going through a tough time, and she wanted to help her find her way back to the joy of dancing. "Maya," she said gently, "I know it's not easy. But you've come so far. You've overcome so many obstacles. You're stronger than you think." She reminded Maya of all the progress she had made, of the countless hours she had spent training, and of the success she had achieved at the recital. She told her that it was okay to feel frustrated and discouraged, but it was important not to give up on her dream. "Remember why you started dancing in the first place," Ms. Rodriguez said. "Remember the joy you feel when you move to the music. Remember the passion that burns inside you." She suggested that Maya take a break from dancing for a few days, to clear her head and recharge her batteries. She encouraged her to spend time with her family, to pursue other hobbies, and to rediscover the things that made her happy. Maya took Ms. Rodriguez's advice. She spent a week away from the dance studio, focusing on other things. She went hiking with her family, read books, and painted pictures. She even tried learning to play the piano, using a special app that translated the music into visual patterns on the screen. Slowly but surely, Maya began to feel like herself again. The doubts and frustrations started to fade away, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose and determination. She realized that dancing was more than just a hobby for her, it was a part of who she was. She couldn't imagine her life without it. It was time to return to the studio. When Maya returned to the dance studio, she felt a surge of energy and excitement. She was ready to dance again, but this time, she wanted to do things differently. She wanted to express herself more fully, to choreograph her own routines, and to tell her own stories through movement. She shared her ideas with Ms. Rodriguez, who was thrilled to see Maya's renewed passion. Ms. Rodriguez encouraged her to experiment with different styles of music and to explore her own emotions through dance. "Don't be afraid to be yourself, Maya," Ms. Rodriguez said. "Let your heart guide you, and let your body express what you're feeling inside." Maya started by choosing a piece of music that resonated with her. It was a slow, melancholic melody with a strong, pulsing beat. She felt a deep connection to the music, and she knew that she wanted to create a dance that reflected her own experiences with hearing loss. She spent hours listening to the music, feeling the vibrations, and visualizing the movements in her mind. She imagined herself dancing in a world of silence, where the only sound was the beat of her own heart. She started to choreograph a routine that told the story of her journey. It began with movements that were hesitant and uncertain, reflecting her initial struggles with hearing loss. Then, the movements became more confident and powerful, as she discovered her ability to feel the music through vibrations. Finally, the routine ended with a triumphant and joyful dance, celebrating her resilience and her determination to overcome any obstacle. Ms. Rodriguez provided feedback and suggestions, helping Maya refine her choreography and polish her technique. She encouraged Maya to focus on her strengths and to use her unique perspective to create something truly special. As Maya worked on her routine, she began to feel a sense of empowerment. She was no longer just a student, she was an artist, expressing herself through her own unique voice. She was taking control of her own destiny, proving to herself and to the world that she could achieve anything she set her mind to. The process of choreographing her own routines helped Maya reconnect with the joy of dancing. She was no longer just going through the motions, she was pouring her heart and soul into her art. She was dancing from the inside out, and her movements were filled with passion and emotion. With Ms. Rodriguez's guidance and her own unwavering determination, Maya was transforming from a student into a true artist, ready to share her story with the world. She was finding her voice, not through sound, but through movement, and she was ready to be heard. One afternoon, a poster appeared in Ms. Rodriguez's studio, announcing a prestigious regional dance competition. The competition was open to dancers of all ages and abilities, and it offered a chance to win a scholarship to a renowned dance academy. Maya saw the poster and felt a flicker of excitement. She had never considered entering a competition before. It seemed like a daunting challenge, especially given her hearing loss. But the idea of showcasing her talent on a larger stage, of sharing her story with a wider audience, was too tempting to resist. She talked to Ms. Rodriguez about it, expressing her doubts and fears. Ms. Rodriguez listened attentively, her eyes filled with encouragement. "Maya, I think you should do it," she said. "You've worked so hard, and you've come so far. You have a unique talent, and you deserve to share it with the world." She reminded Maya of all the progress she had made, of the countless hours she had spent training, and of the power of her own story. She told her that the competition was not just about winning, it was about pushing herself to the limit, about challenging her own boundaries, and about inspiring others. "This is your chance to show everyone what you're capable of," Ms. Rodriguez said. "This is your chance to prove that anything is possible, no matter what obstacles you face." Maya thought about it for a few days, weighing the pros and cons. She knew that the competition would be tough, that she would be facing talented dancers from all over the region. She also knew that she would have to overcome her own fears and insecurities. But in the end, her desire to challenge herself and to share her story outweighed her doubts. She decided to enter the competition. The decision filled her with a mix of excitement and trepidation. She knew that she had a lot of work ahead of her. She would have to refine her choreography, perfect her technique, and build her stamina. She would also have to learn to manage her performance anxiety and to stay focused under pressure. But she was ready for the challenge. She had Ms. Rodriguez's support, her family's love, and her own unwavering determination. She was ready to push herself to the limit, to give it her all, and to show the world what she was capable of. She registered for the competition, choosing the solo contemporary category. The journey to the stage would be difficult, but Maya was ready to dance her heart out. The weeks leading up to the competition were filled with intense preparation. Maya and Ms. Rodriguez worked tirelessly, refining the choreography, perfecting the technique, and building Maya's stamina. They practiced for hours each day, pushing Maya to her physical and emotional limits. One of the biggest challenges was managing Maya's performance anxiety. As the competition drew closer, Maya became increasingly nervous. She worried about forgetting the steps, misinterpreting the visual cues, and stumbling on stage. She also feared the judgment of the judges and the audience. Ms. Rodriguez helped Maya develop strategies for managing her anxiety. She taught her deep breathing exercises, visualization techniques, and positive self-talk. She also encouraged Maya to focus on her strengths and to remember why she was dancing in the first place. Another challenge was dealing with the technical difficulties that arose from Maya's hearing loss. The competition venue had a large stage with a sound system that was not specifically designed for dancers with hearing impairments. Maya and Ms. Rodriguez had to work with the organizers to ensure that the stage had adequate vibrations and that Maya could clearly see the visual cues from the sidelines. They also had to create a system for communicating with Maya during the performance. Ms. Rodriguez devised a series of hand signals that she could use to cue Maya about changes in the music and to provide encouragement and support. Despite the challenges, Maya remained determined to succeed. She knew that the competition would be tough, but she was confident in her abilities and in her preparation. She had a powerful story to tell, and she was determined to share it with the world. As the competition drew closer, Maya's confidence grew. She felt like she was ready to face any challenge, to overcome any obstacle, and to dance her heart out on stage. She visualized herself performing flawlessly, feeling the vibrations of the music, and connecting with the audience on a deep emotional level. She knew that the competition would be a test of her skills, her resilience, and her determination. But she was ready for it. She had trained hard, she had prepared well, and she had the support of her family, her friends, and her teacher. She was ready to dance. The day before the competition, Maya felt a sense of calm and peace. She knew she had done everything she could to prepare, and now it was time to let go and trust in her abilities. The day of the competition dawned bright and clear. Maya woke up early, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She ate a light breakfast, went for a walk to clear her head, and then spent some time reviewing her routine in her mind. As she got ready, she could feel her heart pounding in her chest. She put on her costume, a flowing, ethereal dress that moved beautifully with her body. She carefully applied her makeup, focusing on accentuating her eyes so she could better communicate her emotions to the audience. When she arrived at the competition venue, she was immediately struck by the energy and excitement in the air. Dancers from all over the region were warming up, rehearsing their routines, and chatting with their friends and families. Maya felt a surge of nervousness as she saw the other dancers. They were all so talented, so confident, and so experienced. She couldn't help but wonder if she belonged there. Her parents and brother were there to support her, their faces beaming with pride. They gave her hugs and words of encouragement, reminding her of all the hard work she had put in and of how far she had come. Backstage, Maya found Ms. Rodriguez, who gave her a reassuring smile and a few final words of advice. "Just remember to breathe, Maya," she said. "Trust your instincts, and dance from your heart." As she waited for her turn to perform, Maya tried to focus on the positive. She closed her eyes and visualized herself dancing flawlessly, feeling the vibrations of the music, and connecting with the audience. She reminded herself that she had a powerful story to tell and that she was ready to share it with the world. Finally, her name was called. Maya took a deep breath and walked towards the stage. As she stepped into the spotlight, she could feel the weight of all her hopes and dreams pressing down on her. She looked out at the audience, seeing a sea of faces blurred in the darkness. She felt a moment of panic, a surge of doubt. But then, she saw her parents and brother in the front row, their eyes filled with love and support. She saw Ms. Rodriguez standing in the wings, giving her a reassuring nod. And in that moment, Maya knew that she was ready. She was ready to dance her heart out, to share her story, and to show the world what she was capable of. She took another deep breath, closed her eyes, and waited for the music to begin. The music began, a slow, haunting melody that resonated through the floor. Maya closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and felt the vibrations coursing through her body. She opened her eyes and began to dance. Her movements were fluid and graceful, her gestures expressive and captivating. She moved with confidence and passion, telling her story with every step, every turn, every leap. She danced about her initial confusion and dismay, her isolation, and her eventual acceptance of her hearing loss. The vibrations of the music told her when to turn, when to leap, when to simply extend her arm. It was as if the music itself was dancing with her, guiding her through the routine. She poured her heart and soul into the performance, letting her emotions flow freely through her movements. She danced about her frustrations, her fears, her hopes, and her dreams. As she danced, she could feel a connection to the audience. She could sense their energy, their emotions, their support. She knew that she was sharing something special with them, something that transcended words and sounds. There were moments when she faltered, when she lost her balance or missed a cue. But she quickly recovered, relying on her muscle memory, her training, and her unwavering determination. Ms. Rodriguez's hand signals from the sidelines were a lifeline, guiding her through the more complex sections of the routine. Maya would see Ms. Rodriguez tap her wrist to let her know she was on tempo, or hold up two fingers to show that she was nearing a turn. She had practiced them so many times that they were second nature. The lighting technician had helped, too, agreeing to have a spotlight on the vibrating platform and on Ms. Rodriguez. As she reached the climax of the routine, Maya felt a surge of energy and power. She leaped into the air, soaring above the stage, feeling weightless and free. When she landed, she struck a pose, her body trembling with emotion. The music faded away, and Maya stood still for a moment, her chest heaving. She opened her eyes and looked out at the audience. What happened next was something she could never have imagined. The audience erupted in applause. They stood to their feet, cheering and clapping, their faces filled with admiration and awe. The vibrations of their applause washed over Maya, a wave of positive energy that filled her with joy and gratitude. She had danced her heart out, and they had heard her. Even though she couldn't hear them. Backstage, after the performance, Maya was surrounded by well-wishers. Dancers, teachers, and audience members came up to her to express their admiration and praise. They told her how moved they were by her story, how impressed they were by her talent, and how inspired they were by her resilience. Maya smiled and thanked them, feeling overwhelmed by the outpouring of support. She couldn't believe that her dance had touched so many people. Later, as she sat with her family, waiting for the results of the competition to be announced, Maya reflected on her journey. She thought about all the challenges she had faced, all the obstacles she had overcome, and all the people who had helped her along the way. She realized that winning the competition was not the most important thing. What mattered most was that she had pushed herself to the limit, that she had shared her story with the world, and that she had inspired others to believe in themselves. When the results were announced, Maya did not win the competition. The judges praised her talent and her passion, but they felt that her technique was not quite as polished as some of the other dancers. At first, Maya felt a pang of disappointment. She had hoped to win the scholarship and to have the opportunity to train at a renowned dance academy. But then, she remembered what Ms. Rodriguez had told her: the competition was not just about winning, it was about challenging herself and inspiring others. She realized that she had already achieved those goals. She had proven to herself and to the world that she could dance, even without hearing. She had shared her story with thousands of people, and she had inspired them to believe in their own potential. As she walked off the stage, hand in hand with her parents and brother, Maya felt a sense of peace and contentment. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the years that followed, Maya continued to dance, to choreograph, and to share her story with the world. She taught dance classes to children with disabilities, inspiring them to express themselves through movement and to believe in their own abilities. She also became an advocate for people with hearing loss, speaking at conferences and workshops, sharing her experiences, and raising awareness about the challenges they face. Maya never forgot the lessons she learned from Ms. Rodriguez, from her family, and from her own journey. She always remembered to dance from her heart, to share her story with passion, and to inspire others to believe in themselves. And in doing so, she transformed from a young girl with a dream into a true artist, a powerful advocate, and an inspiration to all. Maya stood at the edge of the stage, watching a group of young children learning a simple dance routine. They were giggling and stumbling, but their faces were lit up with joy. Maya smiled, remembering her own early days as a dancer. She walked over to Ms. Rodriguez, who was sitting on a bench, watching the children with a look of pride. "They're so cute," Maya said. "They remind me of you," Ms. Rodriguez replied. Full of energy and passion. Maya laughed. "I was a bit of a mess back then," she said. "I don't know how you put up with me." "You were determined," Ms. Rodriguez said. "That's what I admired most about you. You never gave up, even when things got tough." "I couldn't have done it without you," Maya said. "You believed in me when no one else did." "That's what teachers are for," Ms. Rodriguez said. "To help their students reach their full potential." Maya looked out at the children again, a sense of purpose filling her heart. She knew that she wanted to continue teaching, to continue inspiring, and to continue sharing her story with the world. She thought about all the people she had met along the way, all the challenges she had overcome, and all the lessons she had learned. She realized that her hearing loss was not a disability, it was a gift. It had taught her resilience, compassion, and the importance of believing in herself. She turned to Ms. Rodriguez, her eyes shining with determination. "I'm ready," she said. "I'm ready to take on the world." Ms. Rodriguez smiled, her eyes filled with pride. "I know you are, Maya," she said. "I always have." And as Maya walked towards the children, ready to share her love of dance with them, she knew that she was exactly where she was supposed to be. She was living her dream, and she was inspiring others to do the same. The music started, not for the audience, not for the judges, but for Maya. And in the end, that was all that mattered. Her journey had come full circle, and she was now ready to pass on her passion to the next generation of dancers, proving that with determination, creativity, and a little bit of faith, anything is possible. The vibrations filled the room, and Maya smiled, ready to dance again. "Maya! Maya!" A small voice called out. Maya turned to see a young girl, no older than 7 or 8, running towards her. The girl had bright eyes and a determined expression on her face. "My name is Lily," the girl said breathlessly. "I saw you dance at the competition. It was amazing." Maya smiled and knelt down to Lily's level. "Thank you," she said. "That means a lot to me." "I want to be a dancer too," Lily said. "But I have trouble hearing, just like you." Maya's heart melted. She knew exactly how Lily felt. "It's not easy," she said. "But it's possible. You just have to believe in yourself and never give up." "Can you teach me?" Lily asked, her eyes wide with hope. Maya smiled. "I would love to," she said. And so, Maya began teaching Lily, sharing her knowledge, her experience, and her passion for dance. She taught Lily how to feel the vibrations of the music, how to use visual cues to guide her movements, and how to express her emotions through dance. As she taught Lily, Maya realized that she was not just passing on her skills, she was also passing on her spirit, her resilience, and her belief in the power of dreams. She was showing Lily that anything is possible, no matter what obstacles she faced. Lily quickly blossomed under Maya's tutelage. She learned to dance with grace, confidence, and joy. She became an inspiration to other children with disabilities, proving that they too could achieve their dreams. Years later, Lily went on to become a professional dancer, performing on stages all over the world. She never forgot the lessons she learned from Maya, and she always credited Maya with helping her achieve her success. And Maya, watching Lily perform, felt a sense of pride and fulfillment that words could not express. She knew that she had made a difference in Lily's life, and that she had helped to create a more inclusive and equitable world for dancers of all abilities. Her legacy was secure. The impossible dream, now a reality. And it had all started with a little girl who loved to dance. Many years later, Maya sat in the audience of a grand theater, watching Lily perform the lead role in a world-renowned ballet. Lily moved with grace, power, and emotion, captivating the audience with her artistry. As Maya watched, she couldn't help but reflect on her own journey. She thought about all the challenges she had faced, all the obstacles she had overcome, and all the people who had helped her along the way. She remembered the discouraging words of the doctors, the doubts of her peers, and the moments when she felt like giving up. But she also remembered the unwavering support of her parents, the compassionate guidance of Ms. Rodriguez, and the inspiration she drew from feeling the vibrations of the music. She realized that her hearing loss had not defined her, it had shaped her. It had taught her resilience, creativity, and the importance of believing in herself. It had also given her a unique perspective on the world, a perspective that she was able to share with others through her dance. She smiled as she watched Lily take her final bow, the audience erupting in applause. She knew that she had played a small part in Lily's success, and that she had helped to create a more inclusive and equitable world for dancers of all abilities. As the lights came up, Maya felt a sense of peace and contentment. She knew that her journey was far from over, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She had found her purpose, she had discovered her voice, and she was ready to share her story with the world. She looked around at the audience, seeing faces filled with admiration and inspiration. She knew that her story had touched them, that she had shown them that anything is possible, no matter what obstacles they faced. And in that moment, Maya realized that she had achieved something far greater than winning a dance competition. She had achieved self-acceptance, recognition, and the satisfaction of knowing that she had made a difference in the world. Her impossible dream had come true, not in the way she had originally imagined, but in a way that was far more meaningful and fulfilling. She had proven that with determination, creativity, and a little bit of faith, anything is possible. The vibration still filled her soul, and she was ready to dance again, to inspire again, and to change the world, one step at a time. The end. The end.